we will reach out to her. Then we're live on YouTube. TV 30 can count us in.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening and welcome to the May 8th meeting of the Livermore City Council. I call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrientos,
Present.
Councilmember Branning,
Here.
Councilmember Carling,
Here.
Vice Mayor Kick,
Here.
Mayor Marchand.
Here. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So with that, we have, this is item 3.1 is proclamation designating May as Affordable Housing Month. And we're going to be presenting this to Victoria Wong of Mid-Penn Housing. Mid-Penn has been a great partner of ours with the Chestnut Square, and we're looking to partner with them again in the future. Let me grab the right proclamation here. So this is she here? Is she on the
Mayor,
okay.
she's participating remotely.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so with that, a proclamation proclaiming Affordable Housing Month, May 2023. Whereas quality affordable homes are vital to healthy, safe, and racially just communities. Increasing housing costs and high inflation rates lead longtime residents to be displaced, live in overcrowded homes, or experience homelessness, threatening our region's diversity and economic opportunity. Whereas the need for affordable housing is especially acute as the state of California's COVID-19 emergency declaration has been terminated. For over 27 years during the month of May, local housing organizations such as East Bay Housing, EBHO, East Bay Housing Organization, have highlighted the need for and benefits of affordable homes. And whereas affordable, stable homes are the solution to homelessness and will also support seniors, families, youth, veterans, people with disabilities or special needs, and our whole community. And whereas jurisdictions such as the City of Livermore are on their sixth cycle of housing element, the plan to meet the housing needs of local communities. The housing element includes a commitment to policies that further fair housing for low-income communities and communities of color. And whereas May 12th, Mid-Penn Housing and the City of Livermore will celebrate the opening of Avance Apartments, a 44-unit services-enriched affordable community with amenities and programs targeting for persons with developmental disabilities. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Livermore proclaims May as Affordable Housing Month in Livermore and thanks EBHO and Mid-Penn Housing for their efforts to bring affordable housing to the community. And that, I would then ask if Victoria Wong would like to make some comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Wow,
Thank
can't
you.
we ever?
I love the opportunity to speak here virtually, so thank you so much for the proclamation. Good evening. My name is Victoria Wong, the project manager for Chestnut Square, and I am here as representative of Mid-Penn Housing Corporation and also as a member of East Bay Organizations, EBHO. We mobilize the power and wisdom of our members to produce, preserve, and protect affordable housing opportunities for low-income communities in the East Bay. To meet our mission, EBHO works with our members to deepen our impact in local communities, fortify the housing justice movement, and advance systemic policy change. Thank you so much to the Livermore City Council for recognizing Affordable Housing Month and affirming our commitment, your commitment, to affordable housing. Throughout May, EBHO members and staff are organizing 15 public events to educate our community about key aspects of affordable housing and housing justice. Our programming this year includes a great lineup of events, community celebrations, days of action, panel discussions, a tenants' rights workshop, and more. There are also grand openings and groundbreakings of new affordable housing communities that showcase and celebrate what's possible when community members, nonprofits, and local governments come together. One event I want to highlight is the Avanci grand opening on Friday, May 15th in Livermore. This Mid-Penn community providing 44 affordable apartments for adults with developmental disabilities reflects the result of thoughtful planning and close coordination with the City of Livermore, County of Alameda, the regional center of the East Bay, and community members. You can view a full list of events at our website at ebho.org/events, spelled ebho.org/events. I invite the mayor, vice mayor, and city council members to participate in Affordable Housing Month events. While many of us have adjusted to a new normal and are navigating workplace and social interactions, many of our neighbors are struggling to navigate housing insecurity, rising costs, and tenants' rights. We all know that when we uplift and center the most affected by the housing crisis, it strengthens our entire community. We celebrate Affordable Housing Month to call attention to the housing affordability crisis, lift up solutions, and celebrate our achievements. And we need you with us. In a time of political division and distractions, we can all work together to ensure a racially and economically just East Bay, where everyone has a safe, stable, and affordable home. There are so many opportunities to get involved, and we hope you will join us this month to strengthen old and build new relationships on our journey of housing justice. On behalf of Mid-Penn Housing Corporation and East Bay Housing Organization's members, I thank you so much for this honor, and we hope to see you at Affordable Housing Month events this month. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Does anybody from the council wish to have any comments? Again, we certainly appreciate our opportunities to partner with Mid-Penn, and here is the proclamation. So we will get it to you certainly, but thank you as well for your great work in the community. Vice Mayor Kick?
Just a reminder that that event is this Friday, the 12th at Avance. And there's no parking, so you have to park across the street and walk.
We can manage that. Grieve, thank you. Okay, well, again, Ms. Wong, thank you very much for the great work in the community.
Thank you so much.
Okay, with that, moving on to proclamation and item 3.2, declaring May 21st to the 27th as Public Works Week in the City of Livermore. And we're going to be presenting this to Scott Landfear, our Public Works Director. So, whereas the Public Works Department is an integral part of our city and our residents' everyday lives, and whereas the Public Works Department encompasses water, sewer, streets, lighting, landscaping, fleet facilities, solid waste and recyclables collection, asset management, and airport operations, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of Livermore residents depends upon the efforts and skills of the Public Works employees, and whereas the American Public Works Association has declared the week of May 21st through the 27th, 2023 as National Public Works Week in recognition of the importance of the hard work and dedication of Public Works employees. And whereas the theme for National Public Works Week 2023 is Connecting the World Through Public Works, which highlights the way Public Works professionals connect us physically through infrastructure and inspirationally through service to their communities. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Livermore hereby proclaims the week of May 21st to the 27th, 2023 as Public Works Week in the City of Livermore and encourages residents to recognize the contributions the Public Works staff make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Mr. Landfear?
Honorable Mayor and City Council members, thank you for this proclamation declaring the week of May 21st through May 27th as Public Works Week. It's an honor to accept this proclamation and to celebrate the important work that our department and staff do every day to maintain and improve the city's infrastructure and services. The week of May 21st provides an opportunity for us to recognize the contributions of our dedicated public works staff and to highlight the critical role that Public Works plays in ensuring the health, safety, and quality of life for our residents and businesses. The Livermore Public Works Department has the most dedicated and professional staff I've ever had the pleasure of working with in my 32-year career. We strive to look at every challenge as an opportunity and commit to working cooperatively with other departments, outside agencies, and our residents. We look forward to continuing the highest possible level of service in the years to come. Thank you again for your continued support of our department and for recognizing the importance of public works in our community. Thank you.
Well, thank you. If there's any doubt about the importance of public works, we just came through a series of storms, which really demonstrated just how important the people in public works are to keep our community moving. So tremendous effort. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Comments? Okay. Moving on to 3.3. This is the confirmation of advisory body appointments to the Beautification Committee, Commission for the Arts, and the Library Board of Trustees. These are not easy choices to make. The interview committee that we have, which is our subcommittee for advisory bodies, interviews a number of folks that step up, that volunteer to serve our community, to give the most valuable thing that they have, and that's our time. And that's these are people that are stepping up, and the caliber of folks that step up to volunteer their time is really quite remarkable. So I just want to say thank you to all of them. In this particular group, we have Karen Jefferson applying for the Beautification Committee, for the Commission for the Arts, Lawrence Milder, Raj Kauligi, and Natalia Custodio. And for the Library Board of Trustees, Michelle Ornat and Nancy Oliverietta. So I would ask that the city clerk issue the, oh, I'm sorry. I always get this one wrong. I need a motion. Okay, so I need a motion to,
Excuse me, Mayor, we actually need to do public comment on this one.
I'm sorry?
We need
Oh,
to do
public
public
comment.
comment.
Okay. Is there any public comment for the appointments?
No comment has been received.
You set me up on that one. Okay. That's all right. Okay, I'm going to close public comment period then and bring it back. Do I have a motion for the confirmation of the recommended slate?
I'll move approval.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Kick,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilmember Carling. Any discussion on that motion? Roll call.
Councilmember Barrientos,
Aye.
Councilmember Branning,
Aye.
Councilmember Carling,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kick. Aye. Mayor Marchand.
Aye. Passed unanimously. Thank you all. So if you would please issue or conduct the oath of not oath of office, I guess, but the
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Raj Kauligi,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear
that I will bear
true faith and allegiance
true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this opportunity freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I
and that I
will well and faithfully
will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Wonderful, congratulations.
Congratulations and thank you. And thank you all. Thank you. So with that, we move on to the open forum. These are items that are, actually, these are for items that are not on the agenda. I'd ask the city clerk to outline the procedure to participate in the open forum tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council's agenda provides opportunities for the public to participate in the meeting by addressing the City Council in the following ways. For non-agendized items, the public has the opportunity during open forum to address the City Council on any item of interest that is within the City Council's subject matter jurisdiction. For agendized items, the public can address the City Council on each item of business it considers when the mayor opens public comment and should be focused on that particular item. Please note, a speaker is not required to answer any questions from the City Council, and the City Council is not required to answer questions from the public. However, the mayor has the discretion to ask staff to address the speaker's comments when a council member believes it is relevant to a particular business item. When participating in tonight's meeting, one comment may be given per person per item. Members of the public can participate in person or remotely as noticed on the agenda. To provide comment in person, please fill out and turn in a speaker card found at the entrance of the City Council chambers. Speakers will be announced in the order received. We will hear from members of the public who are in person first, followed by those wishing to participate on Zoom. To provide comment by Zoom, please use the raise hand feature or *9 if calling in when the item begins. Please do not wait until the public comment period opens for each item to raise your hand. Instead, raise your hand at the beginning of each item. Once public comment opens, each participant's name will be announced and their 3 minutes will begin once the lectern or upon being unmuted. The mayor will announce the conclusion of the public comment period after comments have been voiced to the record. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Thank you very much. With that, do we have anyone who would wish to speak tonight?
Yes, sir, we do. The first speaker is Mark Roberts, followed by Alan Burnham, followed by Marty Sutton.
What was the name again, please?
I'm Mark Roberts.
Your city manager. They just to go together so often.
That's true. It doesn't go together anymore.
That's true.
So I'm Mark Roberts. I'm president of the LARPD Foundation. So LARPD Foundation is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. The foundation is an independent 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we're primarily focused on providing recreational and wellness opportunities for underserved members of our community. I'm here tonight to invite each of you and everybody listening out there to a fundraiser, the Wind Down fundraiser, this Saturday at 4 p.m. at Ravenswood. Wind Down will raise funds for scholarships for low-income children and families to enjoy any LARPD camp, activity, or other item that they can't afford. And we provide scholarships to them to be able to do that. So Wind Down is going to be a great time. So let's talk just for a minute about what that is. We'll have local wine, beer, and food along with live music. Our beverage partners include Darcy Kent Estate Winery, Almost Famous Winery, McGrail Vineyards, Wood Family Vineyards, Cooter Ridge, Wente Vineyards, Las Positas Vineyards. That's just the wine. Moving on, we've got Altamont Beer Works, we've got Pennyweight Craft Brewing, Shadow Puffet Brewing Company, Wow Wow Lemonade. Our food partners include Livermore Butcher Shop, Las Positas Winery, Lanatai, Mimi's Chocolates, Campbell's Bake Shop. So you've got lots to drink, wonderful things to eat, and then we've got an amazing silent auction and live auction. So just a couple of the items that we'll have available. We've got baskets from Sunrise Mountain Sports, Winty Vineyards, Purple Orchid Inns, First Street Ale House, Uptown Girls, Cavallari Jewelers, and our live auction items are even more amazing. So we've got a Pedigo electric bike donated by Pedigo Bikes here in town. So come bid on that live auction item. If you're not up for buying the whole bike, you can buy a bike experience. So essentially, that's a free rental for you and your friends to go on a docent-led ride that includes lunch and wine tasting. So if you've always thought maybe I wanted to go wine tasting on my bike, but didn't want to work very hard, this is the thing for you. Okay. In addition to that, we've got a Sycamore Grove after party experience. So one night this summer, after the gates are closed, Ranger will lead you and your group of friends out on a night hike to see what's going on out there. Wonderful activities by the animals, cool things that you only get to see. So lots of fun there. And finally, we have music by Tim Goins. You can get your tickets at LARPD website. That's larpd.org. So come on out and join us. It's 4 o'clock this Saturday. If your mom's in town, bring her too. That's a wonderful activity. You don't have to do something else that day. So come on out and join us from 4 to 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. And I went last year and it was an absolute, it was so much fun. Last year it was at Sycamore Grove. This year it's at Ravenswood. But last year was a wonderful experience, and I encourage everybody to sign up for this one as well. If it's going to anything like last year, it's going to be a great time.
Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Alan Burnham, followed by Marty Sutton, followed by Alexandria Izaraza on Zoom.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I've driven, walked, and biked to Livermore streets for 46 years, and I'll get back to that in a moment. But first, this morning I attended the ignition celebration at Lawrence Livermore, where I worked on that project for 10 years. And one of the lessons mentioned this morning is that you don't always know everything you need to know in advance, and sometimes you have to learn by trying and failing. The question is not whether or not failing is bad. The question is whether or not one learns from mistakes and moves forward quickly. The same is true of the bollards on East Avenue. It's a worthwhile project, and I'm not impressed by myopic statements about needing to protect students or statements about bollards being ugly, or whether or not one can still navigate in a small car and light traffic. Instead, is the design functional and achieving the desired results, and does it meet California Vehicle Code? I assert that the installation often fails one or more criteria. I sent many detailed comments to staff and to some of you, and I've experienced more problems since returning those in. I'm concerned that staff are not learning quickly from the mistakes and correcting them in a timely manner. The largest problem is the accepting lanes for turns are not wide enough for large vehicles to complete the turn without driving over the bollards. On Hillcrest, the lane widths do not even meet the California Vehicle Code width of 10 feet width. Two workers who pull trailers told me they have no choice but to drive over the bollards if there's somebody stopped in the cross street. My wife was stuck behind a bus trying to turn from East Avenue onto Dolores until the lanes on Dolores cleared through a light cycle so that it could proceed on its turn. I had to back up on Hillcrest to allow a vehicle to complete its turn. There's plenty of room at that corner to allow a buffer for pedestrians and still allow large vehicles to turn. I respectfully request that you ask staff to report in 2 weeks concerning what they've learned and their plan for addressing design flaws in a timely manner. We don't need to wait 6 months.
Thanks, Mr. Burnham. Certainly appreciate your comments. And I would encourage anyone that's driving East Avenue to please go onto the city website and provide your comments because we're looking for the public input.
The next speaker is Marty Sutton, followed by Alexandria Izaraza on Zoom.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff, and residents. As many of you know, I am very involved with local nonprofits here. This past week, many of our nonprofits had some exciting events that I want to share with you. On Wednesday, this past Wednesday, Tri-Valley Nonprofit Alliance handed out a total of $30,000 to 10 nonprofits from our Tri-Valley Nonprofit Fund. We had 35 grant applications, and I'm on that committee, and it's not an easy job to narrow it down to just 10 people. The recipients were the Robot Garden, Sunrise Equestrian Foundation, we bought a horse for them, Culinary Angels, Hope Hospice, Eugene O'Neill Foundation, Little Miracles, Sleep in Heavenly Peace, Allie's Pals Cat Rescue, American Association of University Women, San Ramon Branch, and the Livermore Art Association. I want to thank Mayor Marchand personally for joining us at our check celebration. This year, TVNPA will give out $30,000 the first 3 quarters of this year. Tri-Valley nonprofits are able to apply for our second quarter grants right now through the end of May. So please go to tvnpa.org and apply for a grant. And then this past Saturday afternoon, we had a fun day of food, wine, and whiskey tasting to raise essential funding for Spectrum Community Services and their senior meals program. Originally, this event was supposed to be outside, but unfortunately, due to this crazy weather we've been having, luckily we were able to move it quickly on Thursday evening inside. So I want to give a big thank you to Granite Insurance Company for offering us a wonderful space that worked perfectly for the event. I also want to thank again Mayor Marchand, Council Member Evan Branning, and County Supervisor Nate Miley for attending the event and being so supportive of Spectrum. There aren't official numbers yet from Spectrum, but they believe that they raised over $55,000. So I ask that the community continue to support our local nonprofits as they work to keep our community residents safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Alexandria Rosa. Alexandria, please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. I have never spoken at a city council meeting, so please bear with me. I'm commenting on 5.6. I'm not sure if I raised my hand too early, but I was made aware of an email interaction with a resident of Livermore and our mayor. The resident asked the mayor that we fly a
Okay,
flag.
if I got to say, so actually, if you're speaking on 5.6, there is going to be an opportunity to speak during the consent calendar. So if you could come back in a few moments and just to make sure we get everything in the right place. This is for things that are not on the agenda for the open forum. So since that is 5.6, I'd ask that you come back in as we consider the consent calendar. So you can sort of hang on to, we'll keep you on hold.
Okay,
And
so once you talk about 5.6, I just raise my hand again.
Yeah, there we
Gotcha.
go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, certainly. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak for?
That concludes public comment.
Okay, very good. All right. So with that, I'm going to close the open forum and bring it to the, we'll move on to consent calendar. Consent calendar items are typically routine in nature and they usually passed with a single vote. Looks like we've got some comments on 5.6. Does anybody else wish to comment on anything or pull anything on the consent calendar for consideration? I'll just have a comment on 5.3. I know that sometimes you guys just kind of like to mess with me and see if I actually read this stuff. But on 5.3, having been in the water business, it was for ferric chloride, which we used in the water treatment process. But I noticed that the attachment was actually for sodium hypochlorite. And just wanted to make sure that we got all that, the bid, everything was squared away on that because we don't want hypochlorite put into a ferric chloride tank. So, okay, so we got all that squared away. Okay, great. So we do actually read this stuff. So thank you very much. With that, what I think I'll do is let's take, if I could have a motion for the consent calendar, everything except 5.6. We'll vote first and then we'll.
He's so moved. On a motion, right?
Right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if you can solicit comments for that portion of the consent calendar that you're moving.
Oh, are there any other comments for consent calendar? Other than the 5.6?
No.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you. Okay.
Do we have to pull an item for someone to make comments?
We don't have to pull it, but I was just going to vote on the consent. Oh, we don't have to, we can just handle it all at once if you wish.
Yeah, I feel, I would do a friendly amendment to just move the entire consent calendar and then take comments on any consent.
Well, let's take the comments first.
Sure.
Yeah, because we always have the public hearing before we vote.
Okay.
So I will, okay, so let's take 5.6 and take Alexandria's comments. So is she back?
Yes, Alexandria, if you please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening. I was made aware of an email interaction with a resident of Livermore and our mayor. The resident asked the mayor if we fly a flag that represents the people of our city as a whole, like the California flag or United States flag, etc., considering it is a government building. If we are to fly other flags representing such a small group of people like the LGBTQ flag, why not fly other flags to represent other people like a Christian flag or any other religion's flag? What about Law Enforcement Appreciation Month in May and flying a thin blue line flag? I'm wondering why our council members want to fly an LGBTQ flag, but there hasn't been any other flag flown for our police officers who risk their lives every day. When the resident asked our mayor about flying a flag that represents the people, he said, and I quote, "Previously in November's past, in commemoration of Veterans Day, I have asked that the POW flag be flown to remember our veterans. Since veterans comprise less than 1% of our population, would you also oppose flying the POW flag? My grandfather was a Navy vet, my cousin an Army vet, and my brother a Marine vet. Men and women around the world are serving our country, and as a result, they don't always get to come home. What you have done is compare a flag that promotes someone's sexuality to a flag that honors our American prisoners of war and those missing in action. It's disappointing to say the least. Please save your skewed Trevor Project statistics and your urge to promote inclusivity when you refuse to fly other flags that represent a larger portion of our city. However, you should want community input on this, and you should want to listen to the voices of everyone. You should represent the community as a whole and go into every meeting, every decision unbiased. Thank you.
Are there any other comments for consent calendar?
That
Wow.
concludes public comment.
I have to address that. So the person that emailed me, that I responded to, suggested that we should only fly flags for people that represent the majority in this community. And their excuse for supporting not flying the rainbow flag was that those people represent a minority of our community, and therefore we shouldn't recognize them. So my point is yes, every year I have asked that the POW flag be flown, even though that is a very important, but it is also a small minority. But their argument was that we shouldn't support a group if they were a minority. So I was pointing out that that type of thinking is just not the right way to think, because we represent everybody in our community, and just it doesn't matter how many there are. So I was basically pointing out the fallacy of their argument that we shouldn't support people if they're not in the majority. This is a very supportive community, and I continue to support this community and everybody in it. So that was the point that I made, and it's unfortunate they missed that point. But we represent everybody up here, and this is a very inclusive community. I'm very proud of that. So with that, I will entertain a motion for the consent calendar. Does anybody wish to pull anything for further discussion? Okay.
Move.
Okay. Councilmember Barrientos makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Kick. With that, roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrientos,
Aye.
Councilmember Branning,
Aye.
Councilmember Carling,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kick. Aye. Mayor Marchand.
Aye. The consent calendar passes unanimously. Moving on to public hearings, 6.1, Livermore sanitation.
Honorable Mayor Marshall and members of the City Council, this is your City Manager, Mariana Marasheva. Item 6.1, as you can see, will be presented by Judy Erlinson in the Public Works Department. Thank you.
Manager. The item before you tonight requests that the City Council consider the annual adjustment to LSI rates for the upcoming rate year 14, which coincides with fiscal year 23-24. Livermore Sanitation, or LSI, began serving the city of Livermore in July 2010 after a competitive selection process. Should I continue? Okay. In April 2020, the City Council approved the updated franchise agreement with LSI, extending the contract term by a minimum of 10 years. The franchise agreement states that Livermore Sanitation proposes rates, and it's the City Council's responsibility to approve rates by determining if the proposed adjustment complies with the methodology as described in the franchise agreement. LSI is required to provide at least 30 days notice to ratepayers when rates are adjusted. Rate adjustments occur every year using either an index-based methodology or a cost-based review. For this upcoming rate year 14, an indexed-based adjustment was used as described by Section 8 and Exhibit I of the franchise agreement. The index-based methodology utilizes various cost adjustment factors, such as the percentage change in the consumer price index and the percentage change in disposal fees. These indices are noted and are applied to certain categories of costs, and in some cases are capped. I have a slide on that, but we'll just have to wait for that. In December 2022, Livermore Sanitation submitted an initial rate adjustment application requesting a 7.23% rate adjustment. After staff review, it was determined that an overall 5.88% cost increase was warranted beginning July 1st, 2023. A 5.88% increase is consistent with recent inflation statistics and is also somewhat less than other area jurisdictions have approved or are considering. So for instance, the city of San Ramon raised rates nearly 10% effective January 1st, 2023. And the city of Pleasanton is estimating their increase beginning July 1st, 2023 could be as high as 8%. Number 7. One more. There we go. So the LSI cost increase is mainly related to increased labor and natural gas costs and a reduction in recyclable materials revenues. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution approving the upcoming rate year 14 rates effective July 1st, 2023. Next slide. And you can see here on this slide, it's a comparison of current rates and proposed rates and the number of cart subscriptions by size. And you'll note that 80% of the residents, little higher than 80%, are in the smaller size containers. Next slide. Thank you for your consideration, and staff is available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment?
Just 1 second, sorry. No comments been received.
Okay, then I'm going to close the, like I said, I'll open the public comment period and seeing no comment. I'm going to close the public comment period. Does anyone have any questions? I got a question. I got my bill the other day and it was 30% higher, which was really kind of a shock. And then I looked a little more closely and they've apparently changed the billing period. So there was a prorated fee on there to cover an additional month. So actually, instead of the 3 months, it was for 4 months. So that's not my imagination. It did, the rate did not go up 30%. It's just that there was an additional month tacked on because the billing dates have moved.
The timing of the bills have changed.
Okay.
The rates have not.
Right. Okay. It's just in case anybody got excited out there, I just wanted you to know that, yes, it's not your imagination, but it's not an increase. It's just you're paying an additional month forward.
That's right.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Is there a motion?
I'll move staff recommendation.
Okay, motion made
Second.
by Vice Mayor Kick, seconded by Councilmember Carling. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barrientos,
Aye.
Councilmember Browning,
Aye.
Councilmember Carling,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kick. Aye. Mayor Marchand.
Aye. Okay, the item passes unanimously. Moving on to 6.2, hearing to introduce an ordinance amending the municipal code. That's about it's about fireworks, but it's about the penalties and prohibitions.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, that about sums it up, but we will still move forward with the presentation. Item 6.2 is not going to be presented by Marie Weber. She's just helping us technically. It's going to be presented by Police Sergeant Rob Lenham. So we'll just give Ms. Weber a chance to find the presentation, and looks like our police chief is also going to be assisting with this item.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. My name is Rob Lanham. I'm a police sergeant with the Livermore Police Department. Tonight, I'm going to be speaking about an amendment to our current fireworks ordinance. The current fireworks ordinance, section 9.40, states that the possession, use, or sale of any fireworks is prohibited within the city limits. There are several exceptions to it, though. The violations or violators can incur fines of up to $500 in a misdemeanor charge at the peak of it. And this is outlined in chapter 1.20 of the city's municipal code, or 1.22. Just to give you a little bit of an example of how frequent the fireworks complaints we receive are, in the year 2022, we received 298 fireworks complaints. The majority of those surround the 4th of July and New Year's Eve holiday weeks. However, 0 citations were issued during that time. And the reason is the current ordinance requires the officers to personally observe the person in violation of the fireworks ordinance. So the officer actually has to arrive on scene, see the person in the possession of the fireworks or lighting them off. So as you can imagine, this creates a little bit more difficulty because as they roll up in a police car, they're either running away, gone already, or they've already discarded any type of contraband that they had on their person at that time. There is an additional way that a person could be issued a citation if they had it, and that would be if a citizen sees it. A citizen, because it did not happen in our presence, the citizen would be able to sign a citation. They'd have to identify the person, sign the citation, and then if it kept going through the court process, they would have to show up. So as you can see, that also creates a little bit of problems because they don't want to be identifying their neighbor that they have to live next door to at all times. So staff did research of neighboring agencies and neighboring cities to see what they were also doing. And the best way we saw was adopting a social host amendment, which would allow the citation to be issued to the person who's in charge of the gathering or the host of the party or the gathering going on. This would relieve the officer of the challenge of proving who was involved or who the individual was that ignited the firework or possessed the fireworks, and it would go to the host or the resident. The penalties would remain the same as our current order. This would also add the availability to handle violations as administrative action versus a criminal action. So we could issue an administrative citation, administrative fine, or recoup costs for staff's time. It would also shift the burden of proof to a slightly lower standard and allow more discretion on the citation process. We believe that would hold the hosts accountable for their actions of their guests and generally discourage further unlawful action or behaviors for allowing to ignite fireworks in or around their property. As stated earlier, staff did public outreach. We reached out and we spoke with several different citizens throughout the city throughout this process and solicited their feedback on the input on the different changes in the different ordinances that we were looking at implementing or presenting. And we also, if this is adopted by City Council, the Livermore Police Department is prepared to educate the public on this through our social media team and through different social media outlets. And additionally, we've been working with the Livermore Pleasanton Fire Department, and we're going to continue to work in partnership with them to provide messages to the public through signs, banners, and other outlets on the dangers associated with unauthorized fireworks use. It is staff's recommendation that the City Council introduce an ordinance amending the Livermore Municipal Code, Section 9.40 for fireworks, and add a social hosting provision and administrative fines and penalties. Thank you very much for your time, and staff is prepared to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any public comments?
No comment has been received.
Okay, in that case, well, open the public comment period, and so I'm not going to close it since there are no comments. I'll bring it back to the council. Councilmember Branning.
Thank you very much. So I appreciate you coming up with this solution to a pretty complex problem. I'll start off by saying I am in support of this. However, I have a couple of little concerns. So with fireworks, there's a lot of danger associated with them. We are surrounded by a tinderbox in every direction, thanks to some of our preservation efforts, but it also leaves us very vulnerable to fire, personal safety issues, and just the noise complaints that neighbors have. I do know that this is probably not the only quality of life ordinance that we're looking at in the future. And I have a concern generally about quality of life ordinances that I want to make sure that you're aware of and kind of take in when enforcement is put forward, which is that a lot of time these quality of life ordinances really target our most socially and economically disadvantaged populations. And for a lot of the people who might end up getting one of these citations, $500 is potentially a life-changing fine, not just a, slap on the wrist as it might be for someone more well off. And so as we're enforcing it, I think that education piece, really looking at ways of doing, a warning. I think this really should be targeting our serial offenders, the people who, even after they have contact with the police, decide that no, they're going to continue on and are really causing issues to the neighborhood or causing some grave safety issues. And so that's the challenge to write into the ordinance itself, but I just really want to make sure that that message is clear to the officers, to Chief Young, and the staff, kind of as we're implementing this. We shouldn't be using, we shouldn't be bringing a sledgehammer to this. It really is a tool to give us, help protecting some of our neighborhoods, protecting our residents. And so I know this gives you a lot of discretion, and so I want to kind of empower you and encourage you to use that discretion to educate, to help bring down the number of fireworks that are being used, not just to go out and punish people for doing that.
Councilmember Carling, you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you. Again, I'm generally in support. I just wonder, what's the definition of a host? How do you know? For example, I sort of imagine teenagers, early 20s, mostly male. I'm sorry to be so specific, but I imagine them out in the middle of the street lighting things. I mean, at that point, who's the host? I don't understand how you identify the host.
So the host would be identified through the totality of circumstances based off of witness statements, based off of debris found, but the actual definition for the host section is outlined within section 9.40.010 subsection C. And a host means a person who invites others to gather on a parcel of property that the person owns, possesses, or controls, or who organizes, supervises, officiates, conducts, controls, or is otherwise in charge of the activity on the property.
So in the middle of the street that is owned by us, the city, right? So what do you do about that?
Well, we would investigate the situation. And so if we could show that the people who were lighting the fireworks in the middle of the street kept returning to a common residence or the same residence back and forth, and we can show that the host had knowledge that their guests were lighting illegal fireworks, we can file that case. And a lot of times we'll see that debris, or we'll see unlit fireworks at the location where the host is. So we would have to take all the evidence together with witnesses, like Sergeant Lanham said, and maybe some of that physical evidence like debris or unused fireworks. And also just our observations as far as people returning to a common residence between lighting fireworks.
Okay, I just think, I mean, I appreciate you're trying to do something about this, and I think it's going to be a challenge moving forward. There's going to be plenty of confusion out there, I think, about whether you're identified as a host or not. So thanks for trying, and thanks for thinking. And actually, the other thing I appreciate is you going out and looking at other jurisdictions and seeing what best practices some of our neighboring cities have instituted. So thanks for that.
Councilmember, we appreciate your comments there, and we know that this is not a solution for every situation, but we do know there's a lot of frustration in the community with the illegal fireworks. So we hope this is just one more tool that'll help us address some of those and maybe reduce it through the education and then some enforcement.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Kick?
I do appreciate, again, you going out to the other jurisdictions. I was a small child guest at many a party. My mom threw a great 4th of July party, and she did not invite the young 20-somethings that would constantly come. So she probably would have been fined as a host. However, she would have got fined as a host. She would have been much more likely to say, get out of here, because that's her fine. So I understand it's going to be a messy, probably first year. I think it would be great for us to revisit, maybe in an annual report. Is this even working? Are we targeting communities that are economically disadvantaged, or is it a bunch of my moms who are now saying you guys can't do that here? But I just, we can't all imagine it's all a bunch of suburban moms with teenage boys. However, if that's the case, I feel like some mom justice will come down on some kids. I also had a question about what we were allowed to confiscate before this amendment. If we saw unused fireworks, were we allowed to take them? Is that different now?
We are allowed to take them when we find unused fireworks, but most of the time, by the time we get to a call like this, there's not a lot left, but we are able to do that and dispose of them safely.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were still, if there was a way to increase getting rid of them, that this doesn't affect that in any way. So those are all the comments I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrientos.
Good luck catching them. My dogs look for pillows right before 4th of July, and they dive under them, because we have neighbors across the street that always do it. I think the M80s, let those off. But I guess one way to catch them when you find missing fingers here and there, and you find out who did it. But yeah, across the neighborhood, in my neighborhood, they do every 4th of July or New Year's Eve. It's a lot, not just a couple. And it goes off for hours. I'm sure they take off and hide. And me, I'll send my dogs, the little tiny ones, but they won't be able to do too much. But anyway, good luck with that. We like whack-a-mole. On the fine. On the fines, maybe we could prorate it according to the income you make. And apparently in Italy, if you race your car and you get caught breaking a speed limit, they fine you according to, if you're a millionaire, they up it up and kind of give you a percentage. If you're a poor guy with a little hoopty, they'll drop the price down, so it won't drive them, bankrupt. But I think, fine should be that way. If you're a millionaire, you get a ticket, it should hurt and not just, well, I know Joe Blow can pay this and it'll hurt me. But, multimillionaires, they don't care, they'll pay it off. But I think we should look at, how you prorate, like you were talking about hurting the community, but, they should know better anyway. In my neighborhood, we used to have shake roofs and we were always afraid of bottle rockets would catch our, roofs on fire. And what do you fine $500 for burning your house down? So it should be, I think we should look about how we prorate fines and who gets a fine, make it sting, but not drive them into, bankruptcy.
Mr. Meredith, this is your city attorney, Jason Alcala, if I may respond to that comment.
Sure.
Councilmember Briantes, you're correct. Other countries do have and have implemented income-based fines. The United States has not, though. So if you want to research on that, we can come back, but that would be not something we can necessarily entertain here in the United States or in California.
Isn't there a thing called equal protection under the law? And the first thing out of my thought would be that would be contrary to equal protection because it would be as deep as your pocket.
That's one argument, and this issue has come up from time to time in other communities. But so far, we don't have a foundation in order to do that with our fine system.
So I was on this council and listened to a young woman come and speak to us. And her husband was killed by an illegal firework. There was another person that had just come home from our fireworks display in the downtown. And someone in their neighborhood had fired off some fireworks. It went through their window onto their second floor and lit the carpet on fire. So when someone says, well, these people do not have the means as maybe some of the more wealthy folks in the community, but they're still putting people in our community at risk. And people can die from these things. You go into, you guys probably have the number of children that go into the emergency room every year around the 4th of July with fingers blown off or severely injured. I'm not willing to give somebody a pass for putting a child in the hospital. I saw a bumper sticker a while back that said, "Stupidity should be painful." And yeah, this when you're using illegal fireworks that when you're blowing off an M100 or an M1000, those are sticks to dynamite. And I don't want to cut people a pass like that because they're putting members of our community at risk. Your department was judged last year as being fair and unbiased, and I think that's remarkable. So we're not going to target people in lower socioeconomic status, but this is about protecting our community, and we get a lot of complaints about this, where people say that they're living in a war zone, and these are tools that we're trying to give you. And you know how to use these tools. So we're entrusting you with that, to use these tools wisely. But as members of this council, our number one priority, as we've said over and over again, is public safety. So I will continue to support giving you whatever tools you believe you need to continue to protect this community. So that's my stand on this.
Well, we definitely hear the council, and it's our hope that this will provide some deterrence and we can do education and hopefully really cut down on the number of complaints in the first place. And that this tool gives us just one more item to enforce if we need to. But I really hope that by using our social media channels and outreach that we'll be able to educate and hopefully deter just by this consequence.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Any further comments? Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll move staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, it's motion made by Councilmember Carling, seconded by Vice Mayor Kick. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, roll call, please. Oh, did we take public comment on this? Yeah, there was no public comment. Okay, very good.
Councilmember Barrientos,
Aye.
Councilmember Branning,
Aye.
Councilmember Carling,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kick. Aye. Mayor Marchand.
Aye. Okay, moving on to report out and matters for consideration. Councilmember Barrientos, we'll start on the other side.
Okay, now we report out. Okay, I forgot to put one thing on my little report out that I did go and look at the Bothwell Art Studios. They had a little art show, Tri-Cities, right, all over. And I went to theirs. And it's interesting. I should have brought my stained glass, set up a table too. I do stained glass. Anyway, my son visited from Spokane, and I got a graffiti remover kit from I can't find his name. Ditkus. Anyway, so we went out in my neighborhood and we removed 21
Great.
areas of
Excellent.
graffiti. They went crazy on the Garavant Trail back there towards Altamont Creek. And they just really, they did it once before, but some park elf wiped it out before, like a month or two ago. So we went back, and I'm sure the police have, because in Oakland, when I was a administrator, we kept pictures and we kind of figure out which kids were tagging because they have their own tag. And there's I think four kids involved. I think they're kids, hope they're kids. Anyway, we got 21 of those out and ran out of graffiti remover.
Excellent.
And then I did go to like most of us did, Community Service Day. Went over to Springtown and along with Mariana, and who else was there? Tim and Marshawn showed up there, and we planted 58. My arm was sore after digging those holes. And then when ran over to Hagman Ranch, I did some painting there on the fence. That's one thing. What's the other one? Oh, and the other thing, I decided to drop in on the youth advisory council, and it was interesting watching the kids work, and I was impressed by a couple of them. And they're also pushing a September 9th. They're doing a climate a Livermore Youth Climate Summit. It's September 9th. And I hope they're trying to get more kids involved. So
Great.
that was one of the things they're considering, how to get more kids involved to go to it. I think they're hoping to get 250 kids to show up.
Great.
And that's it.
Okay. Yeah. One of the things, so when you remove tags, make sure you take photographs and get them to the police, because when we got this one guy, when we finally captured him, I was able to give the DA 42 pages of tags that he had made, and the police had the tags as well. So we got him for $25,000 in restitution and 400 hours of community service. So that all helps.
I was trying to get the kids when I was middle school VP saying, hey, why don't you tag your bedroom with your dad, mom and dad's bedroom, see what they think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for doing that. Councilmember Branning.
Thank you. I don't have anything to add to my report out. I will say the Spectrum event was a ton of fun. So for anyone watching, I recommend going next year. I will be working actually at the Wind Down event this coming time. So once again, you'll see me in the official LARPD Foundation outfit helping people out. But really looking forward to that. It was, like you said, a ton of fun last year. So I'm looking forward to having it again this year. I do want to just speak briefly to touch on Mr. Burnham's comments and just ask staff if possible, can we come back at some point in the near future kind of with an update on what is happening on East Avenue, and perhaps what kind of changes we can do rapidly if there are areas that are seeing issues. Is that a possibility? Well, I guess this is kind of a matters initiated, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
Through the mayor, if I may, Councilmember Brenning, we are taking additional steps to update the website on a regular basis with input that we're receiving. We're not going to wait for 6 months. We're also planning additional public outreach with the community. And we will be updating the city council weekly through our critical project updates. At some point, we will be returning back to the council, but it's probably a little too early right now to schedule that formal update. But again, we will keep you and the community updated through the website as well as community meetings that will be taking place soon.
Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay, great. Thank you. Councilmember Carling.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing that Councilmember Branding brought up. The thing that wasn't mentioned is I ride my bike up there quite a bit, and I have found it less safe with the bollards than it was without the bollards. So I think you need to consider cyclists as well. A couple of things that I'd like to point out. So on the 27th, the mayor and city manager and I were planting a tree on Arbor Day. And enjoyed that. So I guess if you have the idea of, for example, if you have a second grader, you can go out and take them out there and their picture every year on Arbor Day and compare their growth to that of the tree. So it's a nice idea. Another nice thing that happened also on the 27th was Livermore Valley Education Foundation that night and the next night, the 28th, hosted a fundraiser with the Harlem Wizards. And we took our grandson, he's 13, so he's not exactly a little kid, but the number of little kids out there, holy cow. And the Wizards just do a great job with those kids. And it's a wonderful evening. And it's a great fundraiser for the Educational Foundation. I would also say, speaking of kids and high school kids, that kind of thing, on the 30th, we went to the East Bay Jazz All-Stars at the Bankhead. Again, this is kids that are in high school from the Tri-Valley, and they put on these fabulous concerts, and the quality of the music is just terrific. These kids are really good. On May 1st, the mayor and I got a tour of Daybreak Labs. I think it's rather amazing the progress that Daybreak, starting out as iGate and now with the name of Daybreak Labs. It's really pretty remarkable the way this started some years ago and what it's evolved to today. I think it's a lot of credit to our Innovation and Economic Development Department as combining with some very talented folks in our community that lead this effort. As Councilmember Barrientos mentioned, I was at Community Service Day. I worked at Sunset School, which is near where I live and where our children went to school. I think mayor's sons
My
went
boys
there as
went there
well.
too.
Right. And then Saturday night, I was invited to participate in the Dublin Asian Heritage Celebration over at the Dublin Center for Performing Arts and Education. A number of our elected colleagues from the Tri-Valley were there, and it was a terrific event. Again, another example of the quality of the talent of some of these teenagers, and some as young as 7 or 8, playing some Hungarian piece on a violin. It was just amazing. So anyway, it was really terrific, and I enjoyed it a great deal. And that was on the 6th. So thanks very much.
Certainly. Vice Mayor Kick.
I unfortunately don't have a long list. Thank you for attending LAVTA for me while I was traveling for work. So that's where I was supposed to be, but the mayor jumped in for me. Again, appreciate everybody for working as a team up here so that when work gets a little busy for some people, that I can still participate. So thanks again for that. And I will be able to go to Avante. So I'm very excited about that. I'll go to one thing this week. So hopefully I'll see some of you there on Friday. And that's all I've got.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you. Let's see and just to highlight a couple of things on the list. On May 2nd, with the Chamber of Commerce, we had a ribbon cutting, a new business coming to town. It's called T Zen Tea. It's right there on First Street, just a couple doors down from the Chamber of Commerce building. So another wonderful new business coming to Livermore. The Community Service Day is always one of my favorites. We had hundreds of people come out and volunteer their time. We were planting, we were painting, we were throwing mulch, everything to improve our community and to keep it a great place to be. Today was the celebration. The city manager and I were at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory today, along with Mr. Burnham, to attend the celebration of the achievement of fusion ignition at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. It's something that I refer to as a Prometheus moment, where fire has been brought to Earth. For the first time in history, a star was created on Earth and right here in Livermore. And this is fusion, what powers the stars. It was over 100. So the remarkable thing is this starts at about around 17 degrees Kelvin, which is just barely above absolute zero. And instantly it goes up to about 180 million degrees. So that's how fusion starts. So it's striking the match to light the sun. Mr. Burnham, do I have sort of that pretty close? Okay, good. Thank you. I want to make sure I got my facts right. But yeah, so it's at that moment, there was more energy being created here in Livermore than is being used across the entire United States. So this really is a tremendous game changer. People have been trying for decades to do this, and right here in Livermore, we did it. So as it's been said, the Secretary of Energy was there, and she pointed out that in Livermore, we make the impossible possible. So with that, I have nothing to initiate. Is there anything else from the city manager, city attorney, anything else for the good of the order? Okay, with that, we're going to adjourn to a special budget workshop, which will be on May 15th at 5 p.m. and the regular council meeting on May 22nd, right here. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.